الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وآله وأزواجه وذريته أجمعين اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه اللهم أرنا حقائق الأشياء كما هي اللهم أرنا حقائق الأشياء كما هي اللهم آمين. Okay, so according to Maulana Maududi Rahmatullah alayh, ordinary citizens of the Islamic State. So there's Islamic State and there's a citizen. Strictly speaking, Islamic State doesn't have citizens. So there are Muslims and there are Zimmis, but not citizen, because citizen relates to a constitutional state. The terminological meaning of citizen pertains to the constitutional state, and Islamic State is not a constitutional state. So the dictionary definition of citizen is a legally recognized subject of a state or commonwealth. That's the Cambridge Dictionary. So legally is important here and subject is important. So both these notions, when they talk about legal here, obviously dictionary meaning can be generic, but terminologically in political science, for example, legal framework is the modern constitutional state, the framework of modern constitutional state. And that modern constitutional state can be liberal, Marxist, socialist, nationalist, fascist. These are all forms of constitutionalism. It can be Islamic constitutionalism. It can be Muslim nationalistic constitutionalism. But Islam as a Islamic political philosophy, there is no concept corresponding to this terminological concept of the. In fact, Islam rejects the constitutionalism, and in that sense, Muslim is not a citizen. Muslim is not the subject. He is Abdullah, and this will become clear when we talk about the difference between human rights and Huququl Ibad, for example. So according to Maulana Maududi, ordinary citizens of the Islamic states have to have the right. So whose right? The right to elect the president and to be members of the parliament. So ordinary citizens of Islam have the right to elect the president and to be members of the. Don't they have the right to be elected as president? Obviously. So, but these are constitutional rights, liberal rights, and Maulana Maududi is providing an Islamic justification for those rights. And the problem is that, for example, like citizenship is not an Islamic institution, and there is no parliament in Islam. We have Fuqaha and jurists, not legislature. Because the difference between parliament and faqih, a community of Fuqaha, is that. So the difference between the institution of parliament It's a liberal institution, or at least non-Islamic institution par excellence, because the core concept of Parliament is legislation based on the will of the people. The lawgiver is the will of the people. And this Parliament either represents the will of people or interprets the will of people. And in Islamic political philosophy or political Islamic political thinking, the institution which does this is the community of Fuqaha. And Fuqaha, so you are elected in Parliament because you have the confidence of the people, or you have the confidence of the people that you represent the will of those people. But to be elected to the community of Fuqaha, the will of the people or consent of people, or not only it's not required, but it's irrelevant, because to be a faqih is based on knowledge and recognition by your peers. And this knowledge is based on the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet, with the tools of ijma and qiyas and other. But they are second. The will, so they are the interpreters of so they know what is the will of the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They tell us that based on knowledge there. And they interpret the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but not based on what people think of that will, but based on knowledge. So in that sense, Parliament is the core institution of constitutional democracy. On the other hand, community of Fuqaha is the core Islamic institution. And don't forget that Islamic Amir or President or whatever you want to call him, he's a faqih as well, because it's one of the shurut or conditions of imamah that it should be a mujtahid. Or if he's not a mujtahid, then he should consult a mujtahid. So in that sense, Islamic government is wilayat faqih in this specific sense. And it's not wilayat amma or amat al-nas, or desires of the people, or the will of the people. Okay, I think we'll stop here and then we'll continue from here after just go. Unfortunately, we'll complete this in the next session.